literally, I mean, it is coming out of our ears. Now, that's not a problem. Man, if communication is part of your job, or this helps you and your family, or whatever, that's great. That's great. It felt so weird for me and Travis to break down and not have a phone. Travis had his, but it didn't work. It was being transferred from one company to the next, and it was going to be 2 days. But you know, just about everywhere, you don't find a payphone no more. You know that? I mean, it's very rarely you find a payphone. And it felt so different not to just, pick up a phone and just sit there and call somebody. But that ideal is literally what's going on. And that's okay, as long as we're still willing to unstrap from that thing from time to time. Each day, we not only need to spend some time listening to God, but as He says, to go in the closet and leave those things, those distractions, outside of the closet so I can speak to God. When I read you that verse a while ago about God's thoughts, about He cared about God's thoughts, not only do we supposed to care about God's thoughts, but God cares about our thoughts. God doesn't want us just to pray that 5-minute quick prayer about Granny's sick and my cousin needs his arm fixed and Larry needs a job. God also wants to know what we feel and where we lack in our spiritual walk and how we can grow and what our plans and desires and wants. God just wants us to talk to Him. Just stop and unplug and go in the closet and just tell God how much we love Him. Not only to listen to God, but to speak to God. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 16. I apologize about moving 3 places, but sometimes it's necessary. Miss Shepherd, during this little break intermission, can I say how beautiful you look?
All night long, we can say.
With the pink scarf.
What would you tell me the scripture again?
Ephesians chapter 5, verse 16.
Oh, thank you.
You there?
Yes.
Yeah.
This verse tells us to make the most out of time. To make the absolute most out of time we're given, because the days are evil. And that means it won't be long before they're gone. That time that we have is gone. So when I say that tonight about making the most out of time, you know what? There's not going to be a whole lot more time where we can spend getting to know God. In other words, if I'm going to unplug and get to know God myself, then I better unplug now. See, it's so easy to continually say, well, I'll do it later. And not only do we still need that time in the morning and the time at night or the time at dinner and the time at midnight, I don't care when it is, just so that you have those times during the day that you can stop and unplug, go in a closet, or know that God is God. Talk to Him and listen. There's still a family sitting outside that closet that you also need to know. That you also need every now and then just unplug and find out who they are. I think that's one of the great voids in our life today. That sometimes it takes the power going out to realize what we're supposed to be doing. How often do we have those dinners, those suppers at night where everybody sits around the table and we pray before the meal and we talk during the meal about school and about work and about what we're going to do this weekend and that sort of thing? Very few times. It's getting less and less and less and less and less. You know why? Because there's so many fascinating electronic items in my house and in yours. There's so many phones that we can be on. And there's so many cool things on the internet that we can be surfing through. And those things have got so interesting that we can't sit down and be entertained by a 6-year-old girl. Or an 8-month-old boy. And when this happens, this is sad. This is almost pitiful. But this is what's breaking up families. You know, Satan is going to get in there. He's going to absolutely do anything. And I mean, it almost looks like it's a gift from the world. This great technology that we got. I can sit in my chair. You know, this week I've been an ambulance driver and a policeman and a fireman, and I went to the mountains and went to Japan and I studied about the bears, but I didn't spend a whole lot of time with my 3 daughters and my son. I try my best to be an example. That's a problem. If we don't realize it, we better very soon. Or Ephesians 5:16 will mean nothing to us. If we don't take a hold of the time that we have, how many times has people come by me and said, they grow up so fast? You know, I see a lot of times people, when their kids get out of the house, all of a sudden the parents don't even know each other anymore. Like, what do we do now? Because, you know, that was occupying all the space and the time, and as long as there was kids running around and doing things, everything felt like a family. But as soon as kids leave, for the longest time, the husband and wife hadn't had even a real good conversation that wasn't about kids, and so long, they didn't even know who they were anymore. And this is what's tearing us apart. Just simply because we won't unplug. I want to offer you tonight. I don't care if you got a wife or a husband, 15 kids, 16 kids, 29 grandkids, I don't know, no kids at all. I want to offer you a suggestion tonight from the Lord. One time a week, one night a week, absolutely get off the grid. Turn the TV off. Unplug the phone. Whatever it takes. If you ain't got to go out there and take an axe and cut that line under that breaker, do it. Just use a rubber handle axe. Do it. I guarantee your family and your relationship with God is worth more than anything the internet, telephone, or the space monkeys can do. I guarantee you tonight it'll be worth it. Even if it's just you and your husband. If you just sit down and talk. That's kind of weird, ain't it? What's that? Just sit down and talk about your cares, your desires. And if it's so creepy, start out by calling a family member in and visit with you. Just have a night of visit. I guarantee you, something really strange will happen to you. It's been a while. It's literally been a while since I've had TV. You know that. I can't even remember how long it's been since we've had TV. But, you know, before we lost it, you know, before we cut it off, we didn't think we would really be able to live without it. And now, we don't even miss it. There were years ago, I remember all the stories, and you remember the times, a lot of you. Remember coming in and being no TV. Amen? My daddy would tell me stories about coming in from the field and just all of them sitting around on the porch and drinking a glass of lemonade or tea and just talking. Until it got dark and they took their bath and went to bed. And then they got up early in the morning and they had plenty of energy because they just stayed up at midnight on the computer. And they got up and had time to pray and fellowship with the family before. You know what we're doing today? We're running out the door with a piece of toast in our mouth. It's the way we live today. And that's okay if that's the way you want to live. But I don't care how you live, we still have to have time that we're completely unplugged. The world will not stop. Every head bowed, every eyes closed. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 says, there's a time for everything. There's a time to be born, a time to die, a time to be rich, a time to be poor, time to give, time to take. So many things that Ecclesiastes tells us. But, you know, there's a time for everything is the main gist of that chapter there. There's a time to realize we need to spend our time differently. There's a time to realize we need to take advantage or value our time. There's a time to really make a commitment to spend time with our family